Hello and welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. If you're on YouTube, you can already see we're doing something a little bit different here. Because as a Just Another Football Podcast crew, we have decided this week we're not going to really talk about what's happening in the world. We've talked enough about transfers and whatever. We've decided to pick the definitive Just Another Football Podcast dream team. And to do this, we have drafted in the man who has a Dream Teams series on his 200,000 or almost 200,000 subscribers strong YouTube channel. James Allcott, I mean, no introduction required. Is in Sky Sports, does work for ESPN, has hosted a show for the Premier League, and I am sure will host the World Cup final one day. James Allcott, welcome.
Thank you, mate. Playoff final winner as well, as you guys.
Playoff winner.
Yeah, FM 2020.
Oh, that's how I met. That's how I met. Can I just say, like, the way we met as the four of us was through the James Allcott Discord. Like, without it, this wouldn't even happen.
This podcast wouldn't be a thing. And I also started. It was Rob Turner that was on the podcast originally as well. It's all because of you, James. I brought us all together.
Yeah, well, I couldn't be more proud. No, this is good. I'm invested in your lives. You know, I love you all.
Lovely.
So I'm delighted to see you guys making content. I know all you guys have got sharp footballing brains, or just sharp brains in general. So yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued to be a part of this one. I'm just slightly concerned. We've already done the intro twice because my door won't fucking shut. So I'm going to shut the window now. Because your pros are going to keep going. You're going to fill, and then I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Yeah, we shall. So the way we're going to do this is, we're all going to pick our positions. We're going to go goalkeeper, 2 center backs, 2 full backs, midfield, front 3. It's a 4-3-3 formation. We have our goalkeeper. We have our center backs and fullbacks. There's a DM, CM, AM, right winger, left winger, striker.
Just to get the essence of Dream Team. If nobody's watched James' brilliant series, it's not about necessarily the best player. It's about what makes you feel football. What gets you inspired. What player just got you and got you hooked. Not necessarily the best. Maybe it's the best for your team that was not good, but that's the sort of thing we're going for.
I like that. That's good. I will be judging it on that. It's not the players that matter. It's the players that matter to you.
Yes,
that's what I'm looking for. So
yeah,
I'm intrigued.
Certainly a few names on my team that probably nobody will know, but 100% have to be there. But we're gonna start with I've seen all the teams, you guys. Fergal, your goalkeeper pick is going to set the tone. I think it's pretty mad.
Yeah.
Go for it. What do we got?
I've gone big. A lot of my picks are going to be, you might have guessed, Irish. And this guy's no different. He's going to be the best goalkeeper in the world. And he's going to supersede his one of the picks I nearly went with Shea Given. Of course, great goalkeeper. I've gone with Gavin Bazunu. Gavin Bazunu, he's already lit up the international stage. He saved the Ronaldo penalty. He's
Did you win that game?
Swagger. No, we didn't. We drew a game. We did draw a game with him and Nets against it, and I was there. We should have won
drawing
that
game. Broadly drawing a game, I don't think applies to him lighting up the sit. Carry on. Sorry.
But he has let out. He also let in a goal against Luxembourg, but that wasn't his fault. It was a brilliant strike. 1 in a million, what someone might say.
Sure, it was.
Bazunu, I picked him because I needed someone to sum up this exciting, young, talented group of Irish players. They're going to be going forward. They're going to do great things in terms of Irish football. That might not be great things in the grand scheme of football, but he's brilliant. He plays ball out with his feet. So comfortable on the ball. He's just brilliant. And we've got big moves to Southampton. He'd be kick McCarthy to the curb in no time. If you don't have him in the FPL, I think it might be a wee sneaky one to get in. Maybe not your first choice, second choice goalkeeper. That's my first pick, Gavin Bazunu. He sums up everything about this new great generation of Irish footballers.
We're gonna do our Premier League table predictions soon. Fergal, you're not gonna like where I think Southampton is gonna finish, but
Yeah.
that's a story for another time. George, is your goalkeeper pick any more sensible?
It is more sensible from one end of the dream team spectrum to the other. For me, it just had to be Petr Cech. Not many England keepers really had any contention against him. I think his record is absolutely insane. It's just unbreakable in my opinion. Over 200 Premier League clean sheets. I don't think will ever be broken. Especially with the turnover of players now you see. And then on top of that, 15 goals conceded in a Premier League season in that very famous Chelsea defence. Again, a record I just think is unfathomable. I don't think it'll ever be broken. Not only that, but he went on to sabotage our rivals, Arsenal. He did do well in his first season, but from my memory, he didn't save a single penalty during his time at Arsenal. That could be a bit of a hyperbole, but he certainly had a very terrible record. On top of that, going back to the Champions League final, winning final, that obviously everyone speaks about Drogba's goal. About Petr Cech, he saved a penalty against Robin, a former teammate, and was fantastic in the penalty shootout as well. So he deserves more credit in the Premier League debate as well. For me, he's the best Premier League goalkeeper to ever play.
Oh wow, Harry, your goalkeeper pick might have something to say against that.
Yeah, so I made a late swap to my goalkeeper pick.
Oh, you
so
have?
originally, I have. So I did have David Seaman originally, but then I thought James might be old enough to remember the 2002 World Cup, where he had a pretty poor contribution to us going out of that tournament. So I thought that might be a black mark against him. And so then I thought, it's tough with Arsenal goalkeepers. We've not had that many great ones in my lifetime. And then I came to another man who, granted, wasn't great for Arsenal. Unlike Petr Cech, he was good for a penalty save. None more so than playing for Watford on Sky Sports. Manuel Almunia.
Yeah.
If it weren't for him, we would not have that moment. One of the greatest footballing moments in history in the Championship. I thought you might like that, James. Just TV gold. But he wasn't great for Arsenal, admittedly. I think he sort of had the effect on me and on the players around him of making us all very nervous about what he might do next. But he's my pick.
Manuel Almunia is one.
Manuel Almunia
is another. When we came up with this idea, I didn't think these would be two of the first three picks.
Yeah, I didn't expect to hear Almunia. Bazzuno.
I'm intrigued to see your pick after we're done with goalkeepers. Just to say, like Jim's gonna pick the goalkeeper that he likes out of all of those, and we're gonna do that afterwards with all positions. You pick your fullbacks, you pick your center backs out of the ones we choose. So let's see. I mean, I would be shocked if you pick Gavin Bazzuno, to be honest, Jim. But
what about you, Ali? What's your pick?
Yeah, you've forgotten yourself.
No, I haven't forgotten.
Okay.
My pick is Issam El Hadari. He is an Egyptian, and just if you're watching this for the first time, I am Egyptian, and I grew up watching the golden generation of Egypt. Should I call it the golden generation? Because we never qualified for the World Cup until 2018, and that was way after that generation was done with, maybe 8 years after. But he did lead Egypt in goal for a long time. Won us 3 African Cups of Nations, 2006, 2008, 2010. And as you see with another pick later on, a specific player in that team made me watch football in the first place. So I happened to support the player the team that player played in. It's Al Ahly. And we won every single trophy in existence between 2005 and 2009-ish. That is the undisputed golden generation of any team Africa's ever seen. And Issam El Hadari is just one of the mainstays in that team all throughout that time. And just to say as well, he's the oldest goalkeeper in World Cup history. He stayed all the way to 2018. The oldest player in World Cup history. He featured in the game against Saudi Arabia, albeit it was an atrocious World Cup for Egypt, but that was pretty cool to see him play in a World Cup finally after all those disappointments in 2010 and 14. And he did save a penalty, which was amazing until he conceded a penalty. We conceded 2 penalties against Saudi Arabia. I still have very bad feelings about that World Cup, but it was nice. So yeah, he's in there all day.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Drum
I mean,
roll.
I see you're jotting that down, Jim. Have you
just wanna make
managed to
sure
spell it
that-
right? Yeah. You got.
I've got it's Sam.
Yeah, it's
Hadri.
BAZUNU.
Yeah.
We got that, yeah.
Yeah.
VAZU.
So Fergal, you've made a silly mistake there by going way too young with Bazzuno. He's not done enough.
That's how much I
Not
faith
done
in him.
enough. Yeah,
Now you're
He's gonna go right
projecting.
to the top.
You're
I
projecting.
thought it was ballsy.
it's certainly ballsy. I think it's tricky. It's tricky to go for someone that young because he could be. You have no real understanding of his character. He could be all sorts of trouble.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Yeah.
believe so. I think he's a humble young lad making his way in professional football.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for him. I think he's going to do well. Although I agree, Southampton might have a struggle this year. But yeah, I can't give you that one, Fergal, I'm afraid. So in terms of George and Ali have gone for sort of prestige, which is fine. Czech is the safe pick, the obvious pick. I like what Harry's doing here. This is
Yes.
what I'm after. And it's going to have to be Almunia for me because it's about niche moments. That's what we want for Dream Teams. I don't want the best to go goalkeeper. So Czech, absolutely not. And he's Chelsea, so you're going to be struggling here, George.
Yeah, you're going to struggle all episode long.
Sam El Hadri, if
Yeah,
that's
you
right.
got it right. Yeah.
Result. That was close because look, oldest player in the World Cup. That's quite unique. I quite like that. But I like that Almunia save. That does get forgotten because everyone's talking about Troy Deeney.
Yeah.
So, Harry, congratulations, you get it.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Fair. I mean, I kind of.
Almunia makes it into Dream Team.
Almunia makes the dream. Just on a podcast. I don't think he's ever been mentioned on the podcast ever. But he makes the dream team.
Probably mentioned him at some point.
Okay, fullbacks, right back and left back. Got the same order. Fergal, what do you got? Hopefully nothing as wild as Bazzuno.
I've got two Irish lads in here. I'll be straight up. It's 3 for 3 all Irish. First one, it's pretty obvious. He's just a good egg. It's Seamus Coleman. He's like people cannot stop saying how good of a lad this guy is. Frank Lampard was only in the door 5 minutes, and he done a speech about how good this guy is. He's just like an ultimate pro, ultimate nice guy. And he's had a brilliant Premier League career, and a brilliant Irish career as well. And he's still going even after the leg break. I think there's not much more to say about Seamus Coleman. He means a lot to the Irish fans. He's really, really good. He's scored has some important assists for his time. On the other side, James McLean. He's more of a left winger, but he's been converted into left wing back or left back of recent. He's got 94 caps for Ireland, which is just incredible for him. And maybe it says how bad Ireland have been. But my main thing about James McLean is, if you ask me to sum up the character and the attitude you'd want for a player to have doing international football, James McLean has that in abundance. He's just, every time he walks on the pitch for Ireland, it's full passion. He belts out the national anthem. And in a world where, especially for Ireland, you're not too sure if some of the players do care sometimes. He cares, whether it's a friendly against Macedonia, or North Macedonia, I should say, or whether it's a qualifier against Wales. It does not matter. He puts in 100% all the time, and sometimes his 100% is fucking shocking. But it's his 100%, and he's brilliant, and that's why he's made my dream teams. He's also a couple of really important away goals against Austria and Wales for different qualifying campaigns.
So Fergal's fullbacks are a nice guy and not a fullback.
Yeah. Spot on.
Good.
Superb. Right, yeah, I suppose I'll take the initiative and go next. In terms of my right back, obviously there's a lot of Chelsea, very quality Chelsea right backs. Ivanovic, Aspilicueta, who may feature later on for me, but Bosingwa. No.
Oh God.
But there was
winner.
I thought I'd move away
Terrible.
from.
You're not helping yourself.
Yeah.
You were already uphill being Chelsea, and then you said something like that.
I thought I'd move away. I
George.
thought I'd move away from Chelsea and go towards my beloved national team, England. And there's no one better than Trippier. He is the moments player for England. You think about the iconic free kick, his assist for sure. In the most recent Euros final, he's really there in the big games, and he really steps up. He's not fashionably a footballer. I don't think he looks particularly suave. He's got the tattoos, of course, but he looks a bit. He grew up in Burnley and came through I believe came through the youth team there. Could be misrepresenting him there, but really shone in that Burnley team. Yeah, it really shone in that Burnley team anyway. But has grown past that into a superb football player. And a little bit of a fun fact about me. Classic, as a Chelsea fan, I live in Newcastle, so I can see St James's Park from my window, and I often go to the games because one of my best friends is a season ticket holder, can't go often. And Trippier really transformed that team when he came in from January. He got injured, but you could see when he was playing, the spirit, the character lifted immensely, and I've been privileged to see one of his amazing free kicks in person. So for me, it's got to be Trippier, a really really fantastic free kick taker and a great fullback. On the other side is Aspilicueta. Now the reason why, bit boring, but if you asked him to play up front, I'm sure he'd probably say yes. He could play anywhere on the pitch, not because he's talented, but because he's got that heart, that drive. He's a really fantastic Chelsea captain, so reliable and a bit boring of a pick. So I've gone back to my sort of Czech usual ways, but he's just so superb. So I couldn't leave him out really. And for me, it had to be him over Ashley Cole simply because of character. I didn't like Ashley Cole, if I'm honest. I don't like him. And so, yeah, for me, it had to be Aspilicueta. Dave, as it were.
Dave.
This is strange, George. I didn't expect to be the one defending Ashley Cole here as the Arsenal fan of the group. However, I did put him in. I must, prefix this by saying I do loathe the man. And so maybe this kind of rules him out as a pick straight away. I just thought it'd be unfair not to throw him in there as an invincible, as a double winner, as probably the best left-back that's played in the Premier League, as the toughest opponent on record Cristiano Ronaldo said he's faced. I thought he was worth a mention, but I don't really like him, and I'm not going to object if you don't put him in the team, James. I must be honest with you.
You could choose every left back from the dawn of time, and you're choosing one you don't like.
Yeah. I thought he was worth a mention.
You're too young. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know. Well, you see.
All right. Who's your right back?
my right back. My right back, I've been a bit more creative here, you see. I see George's Trippier. I see Fergal's Seamus Coleman. And I raise you an Emmanuel Abue, who did get to a Champions League final, was part of a defence that didn't concede a goal for the entire tournament up until the final. However, his most infamous moment, and I say I raise you him here, have either of your suggestions been subbed as a substitute? Didn't think so. That's the mic drop. I'm out.
David Beckham was once subbed by a substitute. I wouldn't be shocked if David Beckham was on one of your teams. And he got subbed as a substitute in the quarterfinals of a World Cup against Portugal, didn't he? He did.
Bex?
Yeah. Beckham got subbed.
He would have started. I think he would have started those games, though.
There's a red card in that game, wasn't there?
Was it not Beckham? I think there was definitely a substitute in the England 2006 World Cup game. It was like a brilliant game. But anyways.
I think I know what you mean. Was it like, was it Aaron Lennon or something?
Hope so.
I know what you mean. I know. Yeah, that's a good little bit of trivia. People let us know.
Yeah, people let us know. The comments. Subscribe on YouTube. Honestly, my two fullback picks are kind of gonna be pretty boring on the surface, but there's reasons. Left back, Andy Robertson. I mean, There's a specific point where I absolutely fell in love with this man. First of all, just to say, 49 Premier League assists already. He's 4 away from Leighton Baines' record as the defender with most, or the fullback with most assists. And he's played 202 games less at this point.
Wow.
The one moment that made me absolutely fall in love with him, and I was struggling for a left back pick, but it immediately flashed into my mind when he kind of pressed all the way from his fullback spot all the way up to Ederson and almost stole the ball from him when we won 4-3 at Anfield, 2017-18. That moment is like top 5 favorite moments ever watching football. Like there has never been a fullback with as much work rate as him in my time watching. So he had to be in there. And the other one is more of a kind of a baller pick, one of the most entertaining players ever at fullback, Denny Alves. I mean, he played a good bit of his career. I mean, I say it's a good bit. He has had an incredibly long career, but played as a number 10 with Sao Paulo at one point. He's still playing at a team called Pumas Unam in Liga MX. But one of the most entertaining players ever. One of the most I've had fun watching. Particularly that Barcelona team of 2011 in particular is a team I really have a fond memory of watching because they're just the most entertaining team of all time.
I don't. They knocked us out.
They did knock you out, and in pretty suspect circumstances. That red card for Van Persie, that's a pretty big stain on them. But
yeah,
I'm gonna stick to Denny Alves. So Denny Alves and Robertson for me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Right. Let me just. So Ashley Cole, no.
Fine. Yeah. I mean,
no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm
Ashley
sure
Cole,
you
no, not because I feel quite indifferent to Ashley Cole. Actually, I don't hate him or anything like that.
You know what disappoints me about Ashley Cole is his punditry. For one of the best left back of his generation. We said it on this podcast before. You're thinking this guy is going to have loads to say, and he's got a bit of confidence and charisma about him. Like the punditry is just a massive letdown. I'm expecting so much more.
Not all the players can be pundits.
That's true. Yeah. So I like a few of these shouts. Left back's a bit weak. I get why you've gone with Aspi, George. I get where you go with Robertson. I wasn't expecting James McLean Fergal, but I like it. I like it. All right. Let's go over to the right back. Coleman, I like it. Trippier, really like that, George. I thought that was interesting. I was thinking about it because I saw it was like a year since the final and they showed the goal. And it's such a great goal. It's such a great goal. And Trippier, I think the whole team does brilliantly. You know, the fact that Trippier puts that cross in, but like Carl Walker's got this like overlap going on as well. It's really nice.
I think Shaw slices it a bit, but we'll let him have it.
I don't know.
He shinned it.
Did he? There you go. Danny Alves, I get it, Ali. It just feels a bit generic.
It does.
And this is this is where Fergal's actually got a little. You're playing to me here because if I can choose someone over one of the most decorated footballers of the time, I will. And so Alves is out. Abue, I mean, again, it's not uplifting, is it? Like someone that was subbed.
Oh, come on! How can you see Abue and not have your mood lifted, man? Come on, he's encouraging.
What I heard, apparently, it was hilarious. Apparently, it's a really whenever they talk about who's the Joker at Arsenal, it's him.
Yes,
it's him. Yes, but that's not a reason. That's not a reason.
He didn't put in a pitch, Harry. You didn't sell him.
What goes about saying that? It's well documented.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
well documented that he's the Joker.
QPR players who've been subbed off after coming on. So that's poor Harry after a good start with Almunia. So we've got. I get Robertson, Ali. James McLean's just caught me there. But it was the 94 caps, and he's been through a lot.
He'll make 100. He'll make 100 without it.
Yeah, he will make 100.
Barring a bad injury, he'll make 100.
And you know, it's got a lot of stoicism. I like stoicism. He's been through a lot. He takes a lot of abuse. Yeah, so I'm going to give James McLean it. Sorry, Ali. You're second twice there. As he's not getting it, George, you're gonna have a tough time here. But I tell you what, I will do actually, George, just to help you out. I'll give you Trippier, which is harsh on Coleman because it's a good shout. And Coleman's done nothing wrong there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to give it to Trippier just so I can
in
give
some
George
ways,
one.
I feel like Trippier and Coleman are quite almost interchangeable in their careers. I feel like they're very similar characters. There's a few. I think I always think Azpilicueta. If you had swapped him and Coleman at the same time, I feel like they have the same career. I think it's just that Azpilicueta went to Chelsea and Coleman went to Everton, and I think that's the difference because nobody heard of Azpilicueta before he signed for Chelsea, and he was like dirt cheap, one of the best transfers Chelsea have had.
Yeah, I think there's so many players like that. You're right. Like he gets that odd move to Tottenham, and then he's a great professional, and then all of a sudden he's playing for Atletico Madrid, winning La Liga. It's ridiculous. So yeah, he has been unfashionable, and he has always stepped up for England. So I'm gonna give it to Trippier. So Trippier McLean.
Trippier McLean. All right.
Ali's the only person without one. So.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I am the only person. Hopefully, one of the center. I'm confident about one of my center back picks here. At least one of them. One is going to feel a little bit generic, but Fergal, I'm going to let you go first on the center backs. Just keep the flow going. Go on.
Yeah, I almost feel like I've got 2 for 2 here. My first one.
Just go.
My first one, and I want to see James' reaction to this. Another Irish player. I've gone Richard Dunn, and I know that I know I'm in a good area already. He's got the record for most own goals in the Premier League. But the thing is with Richard Dunn, you can imagine it. You can imagine he's with every one of those, it's last man back because nobody else was there, and he just happened to be the unlucky soul to try and get his head on it. This man would put his head where people wouldn't put their boot. He's just the classic.
That's a good expression.
Classic, strong, like solid centre back. He's got 80 caps for Ireland, and he was just brilliant for a long time. And even when he was slowing up, he was just brilliant. And that's my first pick. And I know I've done all right there already to begin with. My second,
he laughed.
My second was a one-club man. He has 629 appearances for Leeds. It's Jack Charlton.
Oh, okay.
I put Jack Charlton in. I was an incredible player in his own right. Never mind his managerial career. He's like incredible player. Like won a league, won the World Cup with England. That's his only blot on my book. But yeah, he's and then what he done with Ireland. He's in there for his managerial career for me. I like took us to Euro '88, Italian '90, Italian '94. And then in my research, I found out he actually won something with Ireland. He won the Iceland Triangular Tournament versus Iceland and Czechoslovakia in 1986.
What a trophy!
You'll never sing that.
What a trophy.
So they're my 2 picks. Jack Charlton is an absolute legend, and Richard Dunn a stalwart of defending.
Cracking.
That's
George.
superb. But I'm gonna take one off you, I reckon, Fergal, here with my first pick. Maybe not my second, but we'll try anyway. We'll put on our best pitch in. But for me, the first one has to be David Luiz, and he's the first person I thought of in this position, and I purposely put him at centre back as well rather than CDM because I just think this man, it's entertainment personified. You know, you think of just the goals he scored against Fulham, you know, he just twatted it in from anywhere. And then on top of that, you know, holding it in the corner last minute versus Man United, he gets kicked, he goes down, rolls around a couple times, red card, smiling. He's smiling, cheeky wink at the camera. He's just, you know, we talk about, unfortunately, we've grown up, majority of us here, bar Jim, in an age of quite sterile football players, you know, people without big characters, you know, don't really joke around. David Luiz was the opposite of that, and unfortunately he did do it on the pitch a few times, which gave me a heart attack. But I just love the man. I think he was creative. The way he played football was brilliant as well. He played some great passes. I think we underrate his technical ability. And on top of that, he's just a joy to watch. So I had to put David Luiz in. Yeah, just and then he lost 7-0 to Germany, which I think is an iconic moment. Played centre back there as well. My other pick, a little bit more boring, is John Terry. I felt like I just couldn't not put him in. Double negative, but he is, a Chelsea legend, most decorated Chelsea player of all time. And yeah, he was a bit of a wind-up merchant. He didn't really perform for us in the big moments, especially in the Champions League. Red card by kneeing Pedro, although it may have been Sanchez, but I think it was Pedro. It was one of the two, and getting sent off. And I think that just made him a little bit more human, especially the slip, going on to win the Champions League next time. I think for all his flaws, he was just a fantastic centre-back. Didn't like when he came off at the 26th minute. That really boiled my blood. But at least it's somewhat iconic.
Boiled your blood. You still have him in. It's interesting you also mentioned David Luiz, and you mentioned the 7-0 defeat. And I just find this interesting when you're trying to...
It's 7-1.
7-1, of course, yeah. No, it was, yeah,
Oscar
7-1.
scored.
Yeah, Oscar scored, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I should mention his curly hair as well. Iconic. Gotta be thrown in.
Now David Luiz has 2 long-range shots I'm really fond of. The one he scored in that World Cup against Colombia, and one he scored against Basel, with his left foot in the Europa League, I think, in something like 2013. It just came to him and he hit it first time. But no, I like that.
The one against Colombia, I don't understand the technique of it because he comes across it with the inside of his foot. It's ridiculous. Apparently, Frank Lampard taught him it.
It's more his big toe. That's where he kind of gets his power. Like the top of his big toe, I guess, goes under the ball, and then he just managed it because
I just thought about another centre back I'd rather have than Terry. Oh, it's too late. It's too late.
You should have kept quiet as well. No, he was never going to make it in anyway.
A mystery never to be solved. Harry, do you have David Luiz in your dream team as an Arsenal
fan? I don't, actually, though. I do think his time at Arsenal is overhated, though. I think he was not bad for us. But yeah, I don't have him on my team, no.
I've never heard that word. I like it, though. Overhated.
Yeah, I sort of, yeah.
That's class. That's really good.
Thanks, mate. Yeah. But I think I'm going to struggle to compete with these guys because I have gone quite generic with Tony Adams and Sol Campbell. What I will say, Sol Campbell's best moment came before he signed for us in that infamous interview on Sky Sports when they asked him if he was going anywhere. And he said no. And then the next thing you know, he's holding up an Arsenal shirt. He managed to piss off the entire Spurs fan base and won the double the following season. Tony Adams, I think it's difficult to put him in this team because he did serve at Her Majesty's pleasure midway through a season. I found out in my research on a drink driving charge, which actually cost us that we would have done the Invincibles that season. We lost 1 game to Chelsea, and he was serving prison time at that point. So probably should have thought one through a bit better. But well, there you go. Have any of your picks spent time behind bars midway through a season? Didn't think so.
Good point. So far,
I don't know if that's anything to boast about, but yeah,
that's okay. So far, some of our picks have been a nice guy and someone who served a jail sentence. Ends of a spectrum. Mine are the first one. Go on.
And a racist.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that's why I wanted to.
I didn't know if we were going to mention that,
Allegedly.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, George's face has gone entirely red. He's put his hand on his face multiple times, and he will regret this forever. You'll get no second chances, George.
You did say you regretted picking Terry, to be fair.
Yeah. All right. I have gone for one that's a little bit generic, but not for his playing career, just for one specific moment, which is Fabio Canvaro. Probably my favorite ever centre-back performance. It's not because he won the Ballon d'Or in 2006. It's not because he's won the World Cup with Italy as captain, or all those other trophies in a career, mostly with Parma, Juventus, and Real Madrid. But it's because of one moment against Germany in the World Cup semi-final. This was truly inspiring because the 2006 World Cup was the first tournament I watched, and he's 5'9", And first of all, let's we on this podcast we're quite short, all of us.
Yeah.
So we like to back our short kings, and for a center back to be the only one that ever won the Ballon d'Or, 5'9" is very good. But the moment I'm talking about here is, remember the second goal for Italy in the semifinal against Germany, Del Piero. This breakaway, it comes in from a cross from Ballack. It's headed out by Cannavaro. And then Podolski chests it down, and the moment it hit the ground, he just found Cannavaro coming straight at his face, chests it, and then Francesco Totti kind of takes over and slides Gilardino through. Gilardino plays one on the overlap to Del Piero, he finished the top corner. But these two interventions from Cannavaro just stick in my brain. Whichever center back, like Virgil van Dijk has not been able to have a moment that equates this, in my opinion. And I'm a Liverpool fan. But that's Fabio Cannavaro. Short king. What a guy. The other one is an Egyptian. The other one is Goma. And he's one of the ridiculous Al Ahly golden generation that's won every trophy in existence from the period of 2005 when I first started watching football to, let's say, 2010, 9 or 10. And he went on to play up until 2014 for Al Ahly, and he ended up having 6 Champions League titles, which is just crazy. But one of the most committed players I've ever seen. 114 caps for Egypt as well, that shouldn't go unmentioned. 8 Premier League titles, 3 AFCONs. He featured in all 3 AFCONs that we won. I have a lot of good memories about this generation in particular that kind of introduced me to football. And Goma he started every game from 2001 to 2014 pretty much, except for a year when he went on loan in the Middle East. But he had to be there, even ahead of Cannavaro. Like when I thought of this position, Goma was the first one that popped in my head, really.
Okay.
Gym time.
Right.
You got to give Ali pick, surely.
This is tough. This is a tough show for you, George. And I just wanted to say that, this is nothing against you. Okay.
You're not going to pick the
It only gets worse as well. It only gets worse.
He has had a pick.
Yeah.
He has had a pick. I'm the only one that.
Yeah, not a Chelsea player.
Okay. I think John's a no. David Luiz is a no. Because you're kind of putting Terry in based on the fact that he was brilliant. And actually, it's weird. John Terry, I kind of, obviously, he's supposedly done all these things. People make mistakes in life. That's fine. It's the racism thing.
Yeah, I know.
I understand this.
You know what it is though? He's never done anything. It'd be hard to redeem yourself from it, but it'd be like even when he's left, like finish his career, his Twitter account is just ridiculous. Like as soon as he set it up, he's putting out all these petty little lines, and then the whole NFT thing. It's like it's like just give it a rest, just stay quiet and do some coaching.
Yeah. I think he's going to be an amazing manager, by the way. And I am sort of I'm somewhat wary because I would love to interview him. I'd love to chat to him because I'm fascinated. Because like you were talking about Ashley Cole not being the greatest of talkers, John Terry will be fascinating to talk to about football. But yeah, I'm a QPR fan. That's not going to happen. David Luiz, David Luiz is just a bit. I kind of get it. But you kind of, you've kind of, it's been counterintuitive because you've gone with like.
I've contributed.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jack Charlton, I like it, but I think we're loving him more as a manager than a player.
I love him more as a manager. I don't know. You're turning down a World Cup winner though for England there.
Yeah, I get that, and it's a good documentary, isn't it? That one about him.
Brilliant documentary. Yeah.
But yeah. I'm gonna have to say no to Jack, just because I think it's more. He's in your dream team based on that. Sol Campbell, no, and Tony Adams. I love Tony Adams. So I've got 4 tough ones here. I thought the way you spoke about Fabio Canavaro, I thought that was great and really specific, which I love when there's a specific reason for someone to be in, and you painted a picture brilliantly there. Is it Mal Goma? How am I saying him?
Wael Goma.
Wael Goma.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the stats. He has got the stats.
Yeah, it's got
But
the
there's no
stats.
way Richard Dunn's not going in this team.
No,
Yes, I knew that would get him.
So Richard Dunn is done. Absolute stalwart when QPR
Do you
got
have a
up through
thing
the
that-
playoffs.
Is there a moment in your mind for Richard Dunn when he was at
Yeah.
QPR?
Totally. I mean, so first of all, the season we went up through the playoffs was Zamora scoring that goal. We had a player sent off, Gary O'Neill, 10 minutes into the second half, and then we just defended for our lives and got one chance, scored it, and won. Best day ever. And Richard Dunn was outrageous in that game. Absolutely outrageous. And so that's one. My second view on Richard Dunn is the fact that the next season we brought through Rio Ferdinand, and we were going to play three at the back, and Richard Dunn was probably going to be put to the side a little bit. And obviously there were other reasons Rio Ferdinand was dealing with in his personal life, but the bigger thing was that Ali Fowlin, who you guys know I love, he got injured again, and which meant that we couldn't really play this 3-5-2 that Harry Redknapp wanted to play because he saw it at the World Cup, with Rio Ferdinand playing as a centre back. So we had to go back to a 4, and Rio Ferdinand struggled in that. Yeah. And long story short, at some point Rio Ferdinand kind of went out, and Richard Dunn came in, and we went down. We did go down, but when you support a team and they go down, there's still a few players who will have a really good season for you. And Richard Dunn was amazing. Honestly, I thought he was so good for us all the time, and so much better than Rio Ferdinand that season. So great pro, great captain, body on the line. He'll take one in the nuts. That's what you want from your centre back. So yeah, Richard Dunn, easy. So then I've got Tony Adams, Cannavaro, and I'm not going to say Goma. Let's just go with the second half. I'm going to go with Cannavaro just because you spoke so well, Ali.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I thought and all I want to do now is search up that moment on YouTube, and I will be, because I remember the Del Piero finish, but the fact that you can remember the bit before it, I love that. So Dunn and Cannavaro, that would be a great pair as well together.
Love.
Yeah.
How tall is Dunn? I don't know much about him, to be honest.
He's 6'2".
He won everything in the air. He's pretty dominant.
And we've got, as a short king myself as well, I think we need to get another short king in.
Yeah. On that, we are championing Martinez this year, Lisandro Martinez.
Yes.
Even though none of us support Man United, we're fully backing him to perform.
Absolutely, he's gonna kill it. Defensive midfield, central midfield, attacking midfield. Please, Fergal.
Okay. I'm gonna try. This might be counterintuitive to getting the most players in the team, but there's one player I want to focus on, so I'm gonna sort of rush through the first two picks. Not that they're bad picks either. First pick, N'Golo Kante. Incredible player. He's actually gotten better and better throughout his career at Chelsea. Even a part of that incredible Leicester when inside. I always love players that win back-to-back titles or of any kind with two different clubs, or like back to back, or like Eto, or that always sticks in my mind. But yeah, N'Golo Kante, incredible player. And then centre mid, I have Lampard. 429 appearances for Chelsea, all-time leading goal scorer, 211 goals in all competitions, most goals by a midfielder in the Premier League, and most goals scored from outside the box. The two of them are just incredible players, and as a Chelsea fan, I absolutely love them. Right, now I've brushed them to the side, get on to the main event.
Go on, Fergal.
I'm going big on this guy, because if he's not in the team, I will be upset. It's Wes Hoolahan, my absolutely favourite player, possibly of all time. And the weird thing is, I never even have watched that many games of his, because he was playing for Norwich in the Championship. I didn't have Sky. I never had Sky growing up, so never really saw him. But Wes Hoolahan, for me, he isn't just a footballer. For a time within Irish football, he was an aspiration, a state of mind. He summed up the argument within Irish football, one side being a pragmatic defensive style that thought having a player like Wes was a liability, especially if he's only championship quality. We had so many players like under Trapattoni, these players aren't good enough. they're so bad. We're not even going to try and play football. We're going to put a load of men behind the ball, and we're just going to defend for our lives. And Richard Dunn loved that, and he done well for us in that system.
Nice.
But it's just not. It just wasn't it. And on the other side, you had a frustrated style of frustrated fans wanting more, believing that Ireland can do better. We've seen it with Jack Charlton's team. We are better than this. We've done it in the past. And Wes Hoolahan, who got his cap really late on and never really got enough caps for Ireland, he was just like, as soon as he was on the pitch, he would give you that encouragement. And then you go back through his highlights for Norwich, and he's just like one of these incredible players. Last year was still playing football at 40 years of age, down at Cambridge. Like, what a player. And he had his moment in the sun for Ireland. 2 moments in the sun. One of them was he scored against Sweden. Seamus Coleman, my other pick, down the right hand side, ball in, and a great finish with the right foot, even though he's left footed. And then the other moment, which was like, if you actually watch the whole 5 minutes beforehand, it's the Robbie Brady goal against Italy. But Wes Hoolahan misses an absolute golden chance beforehand. The Irish commentators going, I think it's Ronnie Wheel, or not Ronnie Whelan. I can't think of who it was, but it was one of the Irish greats with a Scottish accent, saying, "Are we going to live to regret that chance?" And the ball goes down the other end, and we manage to get it back, and then we commit men forward. McGeady's on the pitch, comes out to Wes. Wes, like, after missing a chance moments early, has no fear getting on the ball. Puts it on his left, swings into Robbie Brady, 1-0 Ireland, one of the best Irish moments in recent history. So that's my pitch for Wes Hoolahan. He's one of my heroes.
I would not have a problem with Wes Hoolahan in the team after this. That is great. Okay, so you have your DM is Kante, your centre mid is Lampard, and Wes Hoolahan at attacking midfield. I imagine George might have Frank Lampard in there as well, possibly Kante as well.
I'll start with CDM. Obviously, it doesn't really count as a CDM, but I had to get him in, and it's going to be very, very unpopular with two of the members here. Jim's going to spit out his chewing gum. It's Fabregas. He is criminally underrated, and the reason why I put him deep is because he played deep alongside Matic. I know. I've seen your picks, Harry, but he came to Chelsea. He ignored going back home, and he won the Premier League. And he was absolutely superb, putting balls over the top to Diego Costa, who's just a dog. But those passes were just unfathomable. Again, I'll use that word because they're just superb. And one moment that sticks out is his pass to Schürrle, first game of the season. It's just, the technique is to die for. And as someone who likes sitting back as a player myself, I like pinging passes like that. And at Chelsea, very much was that player. I know at Arsenal he was a lot more advanced as well, but he was a really complete playmaker, and I think had to go in for me because of that. In
Jim,
terms of,
go on. Keep going.
No, of course.
Because you had your Fabregas chewing gum Jim reference there. Jim, if you want, we could entirely cut this bit out. That's fine.
No, that's fine. It's been said. I threw chewing gum at Fabregas. Yeah,
yes.
It did happen. No, I threw 9 bits of chewing gum at Fabregas.
Yeah,
I was going to say, how much was it? Like,
essentially a missile. Yeah,
point. That's a rubber ball. That's a ball bearing.
Yeah, we all regret. I don't regret that.
Fabregas would appreciate it though, as a fellow food.
He threw the pizza in the tunnel at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
and he deserved it. Did Ferguson? They kicked us off the park. It was a disgrace.
If anyone would understand, it would be Cesc. So
I
think,
absolutely. Moving forward, I do have Lampard in. pretty much the reason why I got into football. One of the reasons why I support Chelsea. My dad's wasn't a massive football fan. My godfather was a Chelsea fan, so naturally, that's where I fell to. Grew up around sort of Kingston as well. So Lampard, he just holds a very special place in my heart. It doesn't really need too much further justification. So I'll probably leave it there. In terms of my centre attacking mid, I'm going to copy a dream team guest of Jim's pod and do watch the episode because it is fantastic. I'm going to copy Rory Jennings and pick Zola because the long hair, short, he's just magic. He came in sort of retiring while I started supporting Chelsea, 03, 04, but wow, superb. The FA goal, cup goal versus Norwich, I believe, flick at the near post. On top of that, there's a very special book for me, a children's book called Cool by Michael Monpergo. I don't know if anyone's read it.
I've read that.
But it's about, a boy, he goes into a coma and the only thing that could wake him up is his dog. They try Zola, wasn't enough, but he's a massive Chelsea fan. So that sort of resonated with me, and Zola quickly became sort of a fan favourite, and rightly so. He's a special player, and also, as mentioned on Jim's channel, just seems like a really nice guy, and so had to be in there.
Good shouts.
Good. Harry.
Yeah. I'll start with Fabregas. I picked him as well, which might come as a surprise maybe to everyone here. But just let me give a bit of context. I think Fabregas is the best player I've seen in the Emirates era. When you consider, and I think the biggest compliment you can give him is when Arsene Wenger essentially ripped up the Invincibles team and started to build the next team. The one central figure to all of that at 18 years of age was Fabregas. He built the team essentially around him. This is why we started going for small, diminutive playmakers, and you can debate the merits of that. Obviously, we didn't win anything, but his talent was undeniable. And my first ever European away game, we beat AC Milan 2-0 in the San Siro, and they were the reigning European champions at the time. Beat Liverpool in the final the year before, Ali.
Yep.
And he scored from 35 yards. And that season he was 19, carried the team on his back. I think he got something like 20 goals a couple of seasons later. Took a penalty with a broken leg against Barcelona. Everything that happened afterwards is unfortunate. But what I will say is when he put the Arsenal shirt on, I've not seen a better player to date in the Emirates era. And he was just exceptional. And if there's one player I wish it had gone differently with, and I wish it'd come back over anyone else, it's definitely him. Wasn't aware of the chewing gum story, Jim. So maybe
it's fine. We all have moments. I'm not a fan of him from the Chelsea times.
Yeah, neither am I. We put the Arsenal version of him in.
I was going to say split it up. Chelsea Fabregas, Arsenal.
Forget that Chelsea version. He didn't exist. He's dead to me. There we go.
Can I just
sweet. Yeah, you can.
Harry thinks Cesc Fabregas is better than Thierry Henry
in the Emirates era.
Yeah. No, I get what Harry's saying. Yeah, in the
Emirates era, he wasn't better. He wasn't better than Henry. Emirates era, Ali. Henry only played one season, 1.5.
Don't take out the context. Don't gaslight him, Ali. Come on, give us your picks in.
Okay.
Sorry, hang on. We haven't got down the other.
I've got a couple more. They're not tremendously exciting. I must be honest. One's Patrick Vieira. I mean, it kind of goes without saying. I think most complete midfielder we've seen in the Premier League. He's certainly in the discussion in terms of all-round attributes, what he could offer. He's not having it, Jim, but I'll fight that battle until I die.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
There's an incredible story about Patrick Vieira in, I think, Nicholas Anelka's autobiography, which I'll let the listeners look up. If anybody doesn't know, I'm guessing it's purely fictional, but it's just one of the most bizarre footballing stories you ever hear. I won't repeat it because I'm pretty sure it's probably liable, but look it up.
Wow. Well, it wouldn't have been published if it was liable, to be fair.
Yeah.
I am guessing. Carry on.
Should say he gave us one of the best rivalries in Premier League history as well. Obviously, well documented, him and Roy Keane.
Yep.
Dominated him as we won the title in their own backyard. So always love him for that. And he scored the goal to win it on the last day against Leicester in the Invincible season as well. So much love for him. And then centre attacking mids, I've got to pick Santi Cazorla. I mean, he took corners with both feet. You know, he was small, diminutive. Just watching him play football made me happy. You know, it's something it's hard to describe, but always played with a smile on his face. Just the technical ability, better than anyone I've probably seen for us. Both feet, could dribble past a man at 5'6". Just exceptional player. Yeah, enough said really on him.
Short King. He's one of my favorite players ever.
Yeah.
We've got 3 short kings in the attacking midfield, actually. That's
3 short kings.
Yeah.
My attacking mid is quite tall. I'm going to breeze through DM and CM, and I have no problem whatsoever with them not being included because I don't think they will be. Sergio Busquets in DM. There's a specific reason for this. I'm a sucker for a playmaker, right? And Sergio Busquets is the first I've ever seen make this reverse fake pass where he opens up his body as if he's going to pass it to the right back and then just reverses his pass and like twists his body and slides it into Messi in the middle. And that would break like 2 or 3 defensive lines. And a lot of players do that now. I think he's the first I've ever seen do this. He actually taught me a lot, like in terms of, not that I'm the best player ever, or played at any sort of level at all, but like when I play, like some of the things he did, I do in terms of, and all of these things are things that Xavi and Iniesta did in terms of like scanning the awareness, but his passing technique is next to none. Is that the right phrase? Next to none?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the one. Center mid, Steven Gerrard. Pretty obvious reasons, to be fair, but I mean, he's the most complete player ever, in my opinion. Like, you could put him anywhere in the field, and he will do.
No.
He will do well. Play right back, left back as well. I know you both will disagree, but I mean, he had to be on there for me. Attacking midfield, Mohamed Aboutrika. The main reason I started watching football. At the time I was a pretty big baseball fan. I would watch the New York Yankees every day in the summer, and then we relocated to Egypt, where the African Cup of Nations was happening the following year, and the opening game, we just had it on for the opening ceremony, but then we just kept the game on. Like I didn't follow much at all, and then he scores a free kick against Libya. So it's in the 22nd minute as well, and Mohamed Aboutrika wore the number 22. It's about 30 yards out. It's central, like very awkward in terms of a shooting position, but he knuckles it. Like he hits it with like it's not a David Luiz technique, but he hits it in the same part of the foot, and it loops over, and the goalkeeper goes like to the middle of the goal. I think he was thinking he was going the other side, and then it dips right into the top corner, and that's my favorite moment watching sports. It's the moment I was like, okay, I'm sold on this sport. Like, I want to watch more of this. And it turns out he plays for Al Ahly, so that's why I grew up a spoiled child watching my team win the treble every single year. And he was like part of it. He was robbed by Adebayor, just to say, in 2008, African Player of the Year. He absolutely had to win this award.
2008.
Yeah, he got second place behind Adebayor. 7 league titles, only 2 AFCONs because he missed 2010 to injury, fortunately. But we did win it anyway, so who cares? These are my 3, and I would love for Mohamed Aboutrika to make it.
So, okay. Well done, boys. Great work.
Thank you. Okay, I'm glad.
Yeah, I think midfield's always a really important area for a dream team because there is. Someone, I can't remember who said it, but I understand. Someone said, "Oh, I love playmakers," and I thought to myself, okay, but I think. I thought was interesting as I thought, first of all, who doesn't like a playmaker? And then second of all, I thought, well, but I also thought that's my thing. And then I thought, oh, is that all of our, is that a thing that everyone thinks is their thing? You know, like,
yeah.
George, you said it as well, and I know I've heard a million people say it, and I try not to say it, but I think deep down I want to say it. Is when people say, "What kind of player are you?" You go, "Well, I just sort of sit there and spread that."
Yeah,
we want to be that guy. So we all want to be that guy. So that's why I think midfield is really important.
You have a real fetish for them, though, because I swear, in any of the post-match analysis, it's always the amount of times you pick Jorginho as the in the Champions League Chelsea run to be your player of the match, even though it was like Kante had done a madness, like it was.
No, I think because I always look for the other. I always look for the other guy, like not the first guy. I look for the second. That's why I'm a big fan of Jordan Henderson, I think, as well, because he's not the first guy.
Yeah.
But if you watch him properly, then you're seeing how important they are. I think sometimes it's not who's the better player. It's who's playing better than their normal level. And I think that's the same with Jorginho. That's what that would have been. I wouldn't have rated him as a player, and he's played well.
He's someone that we always bring up, like in terms of actual attributes to be a footballer. He's got barely any, but it's all in his head. He's brilliant, and that's how he's made it as far.
Yeah, I'm always confused at how he gets away with it.
Yeah. I think it's players that take responsibility on the pitch is the ones that I love most. You know, someone who's going to show for the ball, someone who's going to dictate tempo. Even if they get it wrong, they're always just players that are really great to watch.
Yeah. You know who you're describing there, George? Granit Xhaka. Always takes responsibility and gets absolutely peppered.
Yeah.
Well,
so give us a break.
The picks are good. So, okay, here's what I'm going to do. This will shock you. Actually, the one thing I do need to pick up because I wrote a note on it. You said Arsene Wenger ripped up the Invincibles team. I don't think he ripped it up. I think they wanted to leave, didn't they?
Yeah. Okay. As in, it had to be ripped up. They got to 30. They were giving 1-year contracts.
Sure.
As in, it's a poor term when they were starting a rebuild. But
I'm being a dick. I apologise. So,
it's all right, mate. Don't worry.
What I do like, George, is you said you knew I wouldn't like Fabregas, but you said it with your chest. And there's 2 Fabregas votes there, so I'm gonna give it to Fabregas.
Okay.
Shockingly.
Defensive.
Busquets
Fabregas
is a very good shout as well.
Where are you playing him?
Who? Fabregas? Yeah, that's it, wasn't he? You both got him as your holder. And it was an incredible pass of the ball. I mean, he probably still is. Midfield.
He's in Lake Como. That's his move.
He just signed, didn't he?
He just signed for Lake Como.
What?
People are saying
he did. He signed for them today, I think.
What beautiful spots of the world he's had.
Barcelona, Chelsea,
Monaco.
He's had it all right.
Lake Como.
That's crazy.
Babe.
So the second midfield thing, this is unfortunate because you've got 2 votes for Lamps, so should be Lamps, but then it turned into the age-old Lamps, Vieira, Gerrard goals debate, and I'm always a Gerrard man.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Ali was right. Ali,
we were doing so well.
A team of Gerrards beats any other team in history.
No.
Spot on.
We didn't win any Premier Leagues.
Spot on.
I don't give you that. That's neither did.
He's the Harry Kane of his generation.
Lionel Messi's not won the Premier League. If we're doing that, doesn't make sense. Harry, come on.
What's your response to that? Nothing.
I'm going to give it to Gerrard.
I have a response, but
yeah, he's won.
Give the man some respect. He's come on the podcast.
I think you could probably pull at that string. And then, really pleased with the attacking midfielders here. Got some short kings here. I don't know, Mohamed Abu Trika.
Trika is
Trika. Is he short king?
No, he's not short. He is, I think, 6 foot.
Yeah, you've lost it.
6'1".
No. I think nothing can trump. Nothing can trump. This is the guy that made me watch football. So well done, Ali.
I'll bear that in mind.
Yeah, keep that in mind. Wes Hoolahan, you haven't watched him enough. Zola probably would have won it. Cazorla was a good shout because there's an element of tragedy with him as well, which pulls on the heartstrings. But Ali, if someone who's making you watch football, then he's got to be in the team, and he is.
Good.
There you go.
I'm glad. All right. So all that's left is the front 3. And with the front 3, it's a little bit complicated because you can have strikers that can play left wing. You can have left wingers that can play attacking mid. But we're just going to pick our front 3 and see, really. So right winger, left winger, striker, Fergal.
Yeah, so I'll do it in probably a bit of an awkward way, but I'll go. My first pick, left wing. He's the player that if I could choose to be any player, I would love to be this player. It's Eden Hazard. the man has skill for days. He's just like he's so good for Chelsea. Like he's just such a sexy footballer, and he's the bum to go with it. Like he was so good. He carried Chelsea for so long, and he's just brilliant. And he's had some unbelievable moments for Chelsea, like the winning goal against or the equalising goal against Spurs to give Leicester the title. Incredible moment. The goal against Arsenal where he just made a fool of Coquelin, and then past his old mate Czech. Then it was the goals against the Spurs in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Like he was just a bag of tricks. He's so fun to watch. And he was. If I could be any player, I'd love to be like Eden Hazard, just to be able to come up with stuff. Yeah, he's just an absolute dream of a footballer. And done a lot for Chelsea. Up front, I've got another man that's done it all for Chelsea, Didier Drogba. I was between Robbie Keane and Didier Drogba. It was a real toss-up, but I went and watched the compilation of Didier Drogba and the cup final goals. The clutchness of this man, he always just turned up. I don't know how you get enough power on a header to beat Neuer at the near post, and Neuer even got a good hand to it. I don't know how did he put that much power on a header.
Goalkeeping mistake.
He was just brilliant, and like he done every time. He's got 9 goals in cup finals out of 10. Like it's just hard to beat. He stopped a war happening, speaking down the bar of the lanes to Ivory Coast. I can't remember the full story, but you know, he should have a Nobel Peace Prize on top of his footballing awards. And then I've got my last pick, another Chelsea player, but I'm picking him for his Irish credentials, Damian Duff. He was the player that got me supporting Chelsea. We were out. Picture the scene. We're out summertime in the garden at my cousin's house. We're all shouting for players who we gonna pretend to be. My cousin got Robbie Keane, which is the obvious pick. My other cousin got Roy Keane, the other obvious pick. I'm really young at the time, so I don't know too many footballers. I'm just sort of getting into it all. I asked my uncle, who will I be? Because I had the blonde hair. He said Damian Duff. I did have blonde hair when I was younger. And that's how I then was like, oh, who does he play for? He plays for Chelsea. Chelsea after winning the league, amazing team. I was hooked then. And Damian Duff, it's surprising he hasn't got too many goals for Ireland. I think he only got 8 goals in quite a lot of appearances. But I watched back some of his highlights, incredible goals. An interesting character though. It seemed like he was quite strong in his beliefs. Whenever he didn't like something, he would move. He moved very quickly from Chelsea when things weren't going his way. And he's had his coaching badges for a long time. He's done a lot of coaching, and yet he's never really got into it. But he's managing the League of Ireland, which for a player like Damian Duff, you would have like he was on the books at Celtic for a coach. Like you would have thought he would have been able to move to a bigger club, but he's at Shelbourne, who are like a small club at the moment, and he's really trying to bring them forward. They're not even one of the bigger clubs in Ireland, yeah, he's an interesting character, quite forthright in his opinion on different things, and he's one of Ireland's best players in my lifetime.
That's quite a cool story with Damian Duff. I feel like that's worthy of a dream team.
We'll see.
Let's see if George tops it. I doubt it, to be honest.
No, this first one doesn't top anything. Obviously, Fergal says that he could be any player. It would be Hazard. I couldn't disagree more. That is the antithesis of what I like in football. I don't think I've ever played with a left winger that I've enjoyed playing with. And so it's a bit strange, but I'm gonna abstain from voting, putting forward a left winger. I genuinely can't. I'm thinking maybe Salomon Kalou, because he managed to hit both posts and not score in my first ever Chelsea game that I got to go to at the Bridge. But no, I've got to abstain. Like I ultimately don't like the period that Hazard played in at Chelsea. A lot of managers were treated poorly. You know, toys out the pram. I mean, he did a Samism there, but toys out the pram. And so left wing is just every player wants to be Ronaldo, and I don't like it. So I'm gonna abstain. Might even say, can that be a veto for Hazard? But won't go that far.
No.
You're just gonna use your pick to say not to pick Hazard. I respect that.
I respect that.
In terms of my striker, unfortunately, I've gone from one end of the spectrum to the other. I'm going to pick Didier Drogba, so I'm going to agree with Fergal here. I mean, iconic moments, you know, it's a disgrace to the camera. He's always so passionate and so aggressive. You want to see that in a striker, and he really was complete. I mean, his chest is better than the majority of strikers' feet in modern day football. So his chest alone is what I choose for my pick, Didier Drogba's chest. But I mean, not much more to say about him, but a clutch player, and like I was going to mention the Ivory Coast, you know, stopping a civil war. You can't really beat that, I suppose. My third pick, probably the nicest man or the nicest man in football, Short King Juan Mata. I loved him at Chelsea. Two back-to-back player of the seasons for Chelsea, Juan Mata. We forget about his cross into Didier Drogba for the final goal. And he's got his own foundation where he commits, I believe, 5 or 10% of his wages and encourages other players to do so, to charity. All-round lovely guy. Again, I've got a bit of a theme in my team where they go to rivals and absolutely bomb and be a catastrophe. That was Juan Mata. You know, it was a bit sour when he left because he was just so magical. I remember him as a footballer. I just that is who I would love to be. You know, creative in the pockets. He scored a fair few goals as well for Chelsea. So yeah, that's my pick for right wing.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Harry.
I'm gonna struggle to top philanthropy there. In truth, so it's a good pick from George.
Well said.
I appreciate it, and it's well done. I'll put forward Freddie Lemberg. I think he's the best big game player that we've ever had at Arsenal. Always good for a goal against Spurs. Always good for a goal against Liverpool. Was brilliant against Man United when we won the league at Old Trafford. Scored that beautiful curling goal against Chelsea in the FA Cup final. And best of all, he came back under Unai Emery, took over for a few games, basically called all the players shit. And he's been proven right because we've gotten rid of them all since. So I know you said earlier you're not a fan of judging players off their managerial achievements, but his contribution there is well appreciated and was necessary at the time because they're all a bunch of toxic dickheads, basically. So glad to see the back of them.
Wow, very strong.
Yeah, his hair as well, Harry. You're gonna mention his hair.
I like the red hair. I didn't like the no hair. I must be honest with you. But red hair Freddie, he was great. And then I've had to shunt. So I've got Henry in on the left because I couldn't not put Dennis Bergkamp in. Dennis Bergkamp, when you think of Man United and Cantona signalling a new era, or maybe Liverpool and Van Dijk, for us at the time it was Bergkamp. You know, he was signed at a time where it had gone stale under George Graham for a few years, sort of mediocre in the league, and then we signed Dennis Bergkamp, and obviously Wenger, you know, maybe was the greater catalyst for change after. Just one of my favourite ever players. I mean, that turn against Newcastle, I mean, of course he meant it. He meant it. The non-flying Dutchman, just absolutely love him. My first game at the Emirates was his testimonial, so he'll always hold a special place in my heart. And then Henry, well, I know you. I'm going to pull on the heartstrings here. I know you like a sense of tragedy, Jim. You've already alluded to it. Him not scoring in that Champions League final or any final ever, there is a tragedy about it because I think he's the best player that's ever played for Arsenal. I think he's the best player in Premier League history. I think his record speaks for itself. I think you ask any player that played in that era. Oh, hand up.
Are you putting him? Are you putting him left wing?
I'm putting him on the left. I have to shoehorn him in, mate. I have to shoehorn him in. He did like to drift left. You know, I feel like it's fair, although he didn't play on the left for Arsenal. He liked to drift out there and fire some shots in from out there. So, you know, I think, and I think I'm going to struggle to top Drogba from the argument these guys are putting forward. And so been a little bit tactical, shifted him out to the left.
I respect that.
Yeah,
Nice
and
one,
I think
for a veto of Henri for very obvious reasons.
I had it. It was. Yeah, don't worry, Fergal. It's fine. Go on, Ali.
well,
Vito
oh, and he's my favourite ever player. I know that one earlier. You know, you like that. So he's the reason I started watching the game. I'm showing all the heartstrings here.
Okay.
Okay.
Go on, Ali. Good luck.
No, I mean, I'm gonna struggle. There are three pretty obvious picks. I mean, strikers, Messi. Let's move on. Right wing, Mohamed Salah, and just to say, in Egypt history, never have we had anyone remotely close to the impact he's had on the face of Egypt globally in sports in general. And I don't think we'll ever have. I don't think we'll have a better player or as good or near the level. Like, the nearest thing to Salah now is El Neni. And even El Neni, I don't think we'll have someone like him for the next 2 or 3 generations at least, because of how things are going in Egypt at the moment in the football world. So Salah is a absolute one of a kind. The one that carried Egypt to the World Cup, really. The generation between 2006 and 2010 is ultimately a massive, massive letdown, because the World Cup always meant a lot more to us than the African Cup of Nations, which we always won anyways. Just failed to qualify. Shit the bed. The final game 3 times in a row. So yeah, it has to be Salah. He has to go in. Can't not be on a dream team. And Ricardo Kaká, because he was my favorite player in Europe growing up watching. For a period of time, I actually adopted Orlando City as my MLS team because Ricardo Kaká played there. But it's kind of generic, but these are the 3 I couldn't. I thought of Torres for a little bit because of his 2006 World Cup goal against Ukraine. That's one of my favorite goals from the time, and I'm pretty fond of that time period. But no, these are my 3: Salah, Kaká, and Messi.
Okay, Kaká on the left.
Kaká on the left, yeah. Had to kind of shoehorn him in somehow. I started for left wingers. I started for left back too. Like,
I wonder why. Terrible.
It's kind of scum, according to George. Right. So let's go with the easier one. Is it? Yeah, it is. I think just Drogba in. I think I like I say. So when I obviously do Chelsea videos, and I really have to try and switch off my bias. It's really difficult. I try my best, and I almost lean too far the other way to try and address it. But when I'm not doing that, I really don't like Chelsea. But Drogba somehow
QPR. Sorry, you know all these videos and stuff. Does anybody pull you on a? You what's the story with that video saying how good Chelsea are? Do you get much of that?
I mean, if they wanted to do that, that would be fine, and I would go. I get where you're at. I totally understand. But I have to cover all the Premier League teams.
Yeah.
So and Chelsea are one of them, so I can't get around it. But yeah, Drogba, because Drogba came in, he was like a diver, and it was just like he's like, okay, here we go. Here's another one for the list of Chelsea players I despise. But as time progressed, he's just so important, like you say, so clutch. Yeah, the Ivory Coast thing is a nice little cherry on the, stopping a wall is a good one as well. But I think in terms of central strikers, his goal scoring record's I mean, it wasn't as good as the Shearers of this world and stuff, but he was. Sometimes there's players that just look bigger.
Yeah.
And he probably was bigger, but he just had incredible presence about him as well. So Drogba goes in quite happily somehow. Yeah. It's probably just as easy. Actually, this isn't too hard, actually. Okay, so I like Damian Duff. Couldn't have sport Blackburn then. Fergal.
No, he was
gonna do.
He had gone. He was at Chelsea. Otherwise, could have been a Blackburn fan.
Could have been a Blackburn fan.
Or a Newcastle fan.
I do remember him in the 2002 World Cup. He was so good.
I watched
so good.
Done a There's a compilation of the Spain coming up against Spain in that World Cup, and
that game.
He he was just brilliant. Like in terms of like being the best player in a bad team, he just like brought everybody up the pitch, dribbled, won a free kick.
Oh, he's
Like
amazing.
nothing spectacular, but like it kept us in, and then he won a
So
penalty that we
effective.
missed.
Yeah,
It was brilliant.
He was great. Ljungberg was clutch, wasn't he? But I was always a bit confused as to how he was in that Arsenal team.
Yeah, he definitely had the least ability of all the attackers
Yeah,
there.
and
But it
it
worked
was-
because of who else played in that team. When you had Pires, you had Bergkamp, you had Henry. It worked
Yeah.
with him kind of making runs off the ball and doing a bit of the grunt work, basically.
Yeah, you're right. He's a bit like he's sort of like a midfield Jota.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's a bit like that.
Thoughts
He
on
just-
Jota are well documented, mate.
Are
So
they? You're not a
you've
Jota
covered
fan?
it quite well. No,
Okay,
but he always scores against Arsenal, which is probably why I'm not a fan, basically.
and scores a lot of goals as well, so they're
Yeah.
effective. He was like that.
Yeah.
I can't really. I don't know. I just didn't do much else apart from that. Juan Mata I like, but has to be Salah in terms of impact. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
yeah,
a great
yeah.
point that you make there, mate. Like it's, he's the the country becomes known for
Yeah,
Exactly.
this guy. Like it's Michael Jordan level, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
just
Like-
so huge.
Nobody knows that we won the like when we bring up the African Cup of Nations 3 times, people go, "Oh, interesting! I didn't know that. Like the Egypt were that good. Like why didn't they qualify for the World Cup ever?" And then the thing that resonates with other people talking about Egypt as a national team, and I do that a lot. Like I stream on Twitch, and this topic comes up a lot. So many people remember the World Cup qualification and how Salah absolutely carried us, and basically like, scored the 2 goals that led us there in that decisive game where we had to win against like Guinea. Like one more thing as well is that the generation that got to the World Cup is dreadful, apart from
Yeah.
Salah, and
And I-
like to an extent Elneny, who wasn't that great at the time. But yeah,
Mm.
that's
he's
No,
he's so connected to Egypt as well. Like he's named obviously the Egyptian king. Like I know obviously he's a national player, of the national team, but some players don't really have that connection to their country. But Salah is almost Egypt, within football.
Yeah.
That city's synonymous. Oh
Mm.
God.
think-
But
yeah.
yeah,
I think
Because-
it's quite a big thing in African football. Isn't it? You talk about Drogba, it's a similar thing there. Mane, similar thing there.
Yeah.
So they do have so much cultural power and impact across the Western world, where people are just sort of going, "What's that over there?" So
Yeah.
I think Salah has to go in. And then on the other side,
veto. Nobody
Yeah.
There's
cares.
vetoes everywhere.
so I mean, Kaka was good, but fell off a cliff, didn't he? I don't know what happened there.
yeah.
Just
Um,
injuries, just the role he played at Real Madrid. He wasn't.
That summer transfer window was
It's
mental.
the prime. It's
For
the
Real Madrid.
reason why I absolutely. I don't have the best feelings for Real Madrid specifically because of that window.
Right. So I don't know why, but I just don't really want Kaka. So on a personal note,
Yep, that's what I'm looking
Hazard and Henry is kind of up for grabs. But on a personal note,
for.
it's Henry.
Oh.
Definitely. But
Henry,
I do, the problem we've got here is Hazard's been vetoed by George. But Henry, you're saying because he didn't score in the Champions League final. Yeah,
Well, I
he
just thought- I
stole
thought
the
I'd put
World
that
Cup
in there.
campaign from Ireland, didn't he?
That's why he's in it. I thought that would go.
Yeah,
under
we're
the
both
radar.
English. Yeah.
I'm
Put
not
him in.
mentioning that. See,
The most
this is the
annoying thing about that whole thing was that, like, fair enough, France probably the better team, go on through the World Cup. They absolutely blew up, and they might as well not.
Yeah, they
have
were
been
terrible.
there.
They went out in the groups.
It was pointless.
It was a mutiny.
But in the spirit of winding up Fergal, I'm going to go with Henry.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Because
Yay!
I think Harry's been good value, and I think he deserves Henry. And
Thanks,
Henry is another player who's just a joke,
Yeah.
an absolute
Yeah.
joke. So there you have it.
Well said.
All right. So your official James Allcott approved and selected just another football podcast dream team is this.
Do a manager off everybody, because we didn't say we were going to do a manager, but I thought in classic dream team style, you try and spur on them at the last second.
God.
Okay.
I've-
Okay. Let's do this.
I've quite a boring one, but I have 3 in my head. I was going to go. Do I go Frank Lampard, Jack Charlton, or because I thought they might make it in, or the guy I'm going to go for, because I do really think highly of him, is Stephen Kenny, the current Ireland manager. He done wonders with Dundalk, which is awesome. Hold him in my heart for that as well. So my pick is Stephen Kenny.
I'm really
George?
not great on the spot. I'm stuck between Di Matteo and Jose Mourinho. I think it will have to be Jose Mourinho even after.
Got rid of the philanthropist,
one
mate.
sec,
He
one
came in
sec.
and got straight rid of him.
Because it's the theme. It's the theme. He's gone to other teams. He went to United. He went to Tottenham. It sticks with my theme. He was absolutely dreadful, and I love that from him. And then he's gone to Roma and won them their first ever European title. So a team I actually really adore. So abroad. So yeah, happy with that. Jose Mourinho, fantastic manager. What he's done in terms of Porto and Inter, whether you like it at Chelsea or not, was superb. So I'll say Jose.
It's quite fitting for the podcast, by the way, that Mourinho you mentioned there, because he's someone who's mentioned a lot for various reasons. But we have this little section about AS Roma because we have a bit called Tabs on Tammy, which Fergal created. We just get to talk about.
I was big on Tammy, and it's one of my good calls
Good,
that
like
have come through.
I was big on Rom as well.
Yeah. Mourinho gets.
Who are you going for, Harry?
Probably
I'm going me supporting Arsenal, Arsene Wenger. I feel like I cursed him basically. So from my first game was 2000, technically it was 2005, but 2006 was my first full season going. And in fairness, I'm being a bit harsh on him there. He sort of held it together for a few years, but I think he just went to pot. And actually, my opinion of him, when I talk to like my dad and some of my uncles that support Arsenal, they look far more favourably upon him, whereas kind of what I saw in my life was a lot of failure, a lot of complaining, and a lot of being stubborn. And so I feel like my view of him is a bit unfair, which is why I suppose it's sort of fair to acknowledge what he did before. And I think he came in, revolutionised the English game, and I've got to acknowledge that, I suppose. So
You don't fancy Herbert Chapman then, no?
Well, I thought Herbert Chapman, but he's just a name, folk. It doesn't mean anything to me. Like there's no connection, there's no passion there.
I like Harry. It's good. He's funny. Go on,
Thanks,
Harry. What's yours?
Mine is Manuel Jose, manager of Al Ahly in these glorious years between 2006 to I think it was 2009, and then he came back in 2011.
You need to find out if it's 2009 or 10 because you've brought this up for 5 times now, and you don't know if it's 2009.
Yeah, I will say 2009. I'll say 2009 because 2008 we won the Champions League. 9 and 10 we didn't. So 9 was kind of the end of a phase, I guess. Just not quite sure on when.
Pick a year.
2009. And then he came back for 2011. I think won one more in 2012. But yeah, that'll be mine.
Okay. I'm gonna give it to. Yeah, Wenger was disrespected.
Yeah,
I can't.
Probably by me,
I like
to be
Wenger, in
honest.
fairness.
yeah.
Among others.
Yeah. I'll give it to Wenger. Why not? Bless him. I watched a documentary with him. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it is doc. Yeah.
And it's not. It's odd. He sort of comes off a bit odd in it. I'm trying to think. He can't like. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what it. I'll have to remember what it was.
The only thing I don't like about him now is he's mixed up with FIFA, and like feels like he's like.
It's just it's not in keeping with what he stood for as a manager either. It's really really strange.
Yeah,
to what's become there.
Multiple World Cups. It's like what are you basing this on? Like,
I feel like he could, like, if he stays at FIFA long enough, it'll corrupt him, and he'll end up just. He'll end up just like literally morphing into Sepp Blatter. Like he'll shrink down in size and like football. Like you can just see it.
I just think like he's like upset. Like he was basically saying like, I was obsessed with Arsenal and I probably should have left, but I didn't. And like the whole thing's quite sour. The documentary. And he was like, I turned down this team and that team and this team. And I was like, go manage him now. Like
I thought he would have. Not the teams I think that he would have been approached by, maybe in his pomp years, certainly. But I thought he would have gone into another job by this point. Maybe like international management.
Yeah,
I'm very surprised.
Yeah, I wonder if he'd still want to do that, but maybe he wants to make a. He's such a. I was watching this thing. It's about there's different kinds of managers. You've got your Red Bull school, you've got your Bielsa school, you've got your Pep school, and then you've got your sort of laissez-faire school, which is like Ancelotti and Wenger.
Yeah,
and I think he certainly was that. So it'd be interesting to see how he would get on. I mean, you're right. I like the purity of him, but the problem is he's at FIFA, and that makes it hard for him to be
Talking yourself out of it.
And he's also like, he's talking nonsense sometimes as well. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's our manager.
Yeah,
He's
we'll
a
take
manager.
him. Why not? Yeah, yeah.
It's just sort of rattled off everything that's gone wrong with him. But
Yeah, true.
he's in
I
it.
can't. I mean, do you know what? Jose is box office.
No,
It's just a
Jose
special one.
Mourinho.
Sliding
Oh,
on the
is it?
pitch.
No, he managed Chelsea.
To switch
Can't
from
do
Wenger
that.
to Jose is the ultimate.
He did, man.
Yeah,
But
no,
it's
no,
perfect, isn't it?
Can't
It's
do it to us,
perfect.
and I can't
There
do
was
it to
only
us.
one winner in their careers in that rivalry as well, so you got to throw Arsenal a bone here, surely.
Yeah, okay.
Throw him a bone.
Yeah, I can't do that to Arsenal.
Yeah.
We'll leave it
Have
there.
the
We'll leave it there.
specialist in failure.
So who's the manager? Just to be clear.
Wenger.
Arsene Wenger is our manager, and with that, I realize now we recorded for an hour and a half. Thank you, James. Absolute gem for
yeah.
giving us.
We
all this
would
time.
plug your channel, James, but to be honest, I think all of our listeners already are
Yeah.
big followers of yours. So, like, we have stolen that. The
Who is
handful
this
of listeners
fella?
we have been stolen from the Discord. So
Every
but,
single one.
like,
every
if you
single
don't
one
know
counts,
James
Campbell.
Allcott, get to know. And you know, he's. I always think of him as the footballer's YouTuber.
Yeah.
There's a
appreciate
lot of
that.
love from other footballer YouTubers, so that's the way I think of you.
I appreciate that. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
make sure you make a social post of this team. I'll retweet it, but make sure there's spots in it that haven't got the player, but make sure Almunia is written down.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
that's your hook. That's your hook, guys. Why is Almunia in this dream team? Okay.
Brilliant.
Me
There
and
you-
James
Go
McLean.
for.
There's the thumbnail material. Lovely.
Exactly.
Anyways, have a lot easier. Thanks, Harry, for picking on Munya. What?
Oh, pleasure, mate. Anytime.
All right. Play of Short Kings as well. This is good. I'm satisfied by the dream team. Just to say. All right, James. Thanks so much again. Absolute hero. Hope to have you on sometime again soon. And good luck to QPR on the season. I'm I like Preston in the championship, but I would love to see QPR go. Just to say. But no, everyone watching, hit subscribe. If you've reached this point, you obviously liked it, so hit subscribe to let us know and the like button. And we'll catch you on the next one. Premier League table predictions next. See you then. Cheers.